So good morning, everyone. Let's get started. My name is Andreas Färber. I'm going to give you an update on QEMU this morning. So first of all, since last KVM forum, we have had a major change of the project and release management from Anthony Liguri. I haven't seen him this morning yet. Please raise your hand if you're there. To Peter Madel, and some assistance from Mike Roth for the release management. We have had two major releases already this year, 2.0 and 2.1, with a major version change from 1.7. Mostly we're still backwards compatible, and we're about to release version 2.2 pretty soon. And Mike Roth has done an awesome work in releasing 7 stable releases. So some applause for the two of them, please. Okay. We've also seen an initiative to put a much more focus on security aspects of QEMU, including some scenarios that we neglected in the past. So QEMU has not gotten worse lately, but we've simply closed a lot of holes that could arise if you were actually not using QEMU to create, for instance, image files, but if they were handcrafted or somehow maliciously crafted and used with QEMU. We have had, in whole, up to today, 62 commits mentioning CVE, so as a number of the security incidents involved being closed. And we have started to formalize the process for disclosing security vulnerabilities slightly further. And Michael Esterkin has been taking on the lead in these efforts. Also, thanks to him for that. This year, QEMU has participated both in Google Summer of Code and in the Outreach Program for Women. I will go into details of those projects shortly. And if we compare the commit statistics from last year to this year, we're pretty close, and there is still a number of months to go until the end of the year, so there is no decline. So it is contributions are pretty much as strong as before, if not even growing still. In brackets is with merges, and the actual number is those counted out. A number of major features have been added. This list is certainly not conclusive. You can look up the release notes of the two last releases plus the upcoming one if you want to learn more about that. Among others is we have a M2N threading support for Virtual Block Data Plane. We got a user space implementation of vhost. On the block side, we got a quorum driver as well as support for 4K block size disks. On the area of hot add, we got support for memory hot plug, as well as PCI hot plug in general, as well as memory hot plug for the Q35 machine, in addition to the i440FX. The power architecture has gained support for Little Endian, both as far as Virtual and memory dumping and Linux user emulation goes. For the emulation parts of QEMU, we have seen the 64-bit ARM emulation support completed with system instructions on the one side and with crypto instructions on the other. And for the upcoming release, we have seen a new target of the Infineon Tricore architecture. For the Linux distributions of interest is that QEMU has grown support for modules, which is essentially not a plugin mechanism, but a way to actually separate out parts of QEMU with external dependencies so that someone installing QEMU does not need to install the full range of dependencies for features that he or she might not actually use. And on the Windows side, the GTK user front end has actually been enabled there as well. Now to GSOC. We've had 4 projects, 3 of them in QEMU itself. That is the VTD emulation by Letan, mentored by Jan Kiska. We've had support for the Qtest framework in form of testing infrastructure for Virtual and I2C by Marc Marie, who is actually present at this conference, although possibly not at the moment. Then we have seen a project on continuous VM state testing, mentored by Juan and done by Sanitha. Yeah, sorry. And outside of QEMU, for the use of QEMU, we've also had a project adding support for the boot.efi of Mac OS X to Tiano Core, so that Mac OS X can be fully emulated without any hacks in QEMU. Mentored by Alexander Graf and the project done by Reza Yelver. For the first time now, we've also participated in the GNOME Outreach Program for Women. We've had one project there by Maria Kustova, who is testing the various disk image formats by using fuzzing, mentored by Stefan Heinocci. Now to the commit stats. The numbers absolutely are still on the rise of individual authors. So we have seen a big change on the top, which is now Peter Madel. So hands, please. Followed by Richard Henderson and Paolo Bonzini. And on the reviewer side, there's not much change to last year. Eric Blake is still on top, which is still really amazing. Followed also by Richard Henderson and Michael S. Zirkin. And you can actually see that the top part is quite similar, with many of the authors actually participating in the reviews. And one other thing that I would like to point out is that we're seeing quite an increase of the review that is actually happening within the block layer. So many thanks for that as well. Now, as far as the maintainers go, we've seen a real surge of Peter doing a lot of committing since he transitioned to the role of the project maintainer, picking up individual packages from the list and doing a really amazing work there. Followed by Stefan Heinocci and Kevin Wolf, both mostly for the block layer as well. So, applause. And if we look at the company statistics, I've also really drawn the arrows to actually compare to last year to see some trends there. So Red Hat is still absolutely at number 1, followed by Linaro. And if we look at just the companies, then that would be IBM on 3rd place. But I also wanted to point out that we've really seen a large increase in actual contributions from people who were not, to my knowledge, associated with a certain company that was sponsoring these efforts. So to some degree there was. I've tried to count that out already with, I think there were 2 commits from someone working at Samsung and using another email address, but otherwise we're seeing a lot of individual contributions to QEMU still, which is really important for keeping the project vital and actually taking care of some of the areas that are not so relevant to the big Linux distributions. One other trend that we can see here is that actually hardware companies are playing an increasing role in contributing to the QEMU development, in addition to the Linux vendors that have been strong since quite a number of years, with Xilinx, Huawei, and on number 11 there would be Fujitsu. If we look further into the future, what is there to be done? We've seen an enormous increase in test coverage already, one of them through the GSOC project, but also through individual maintainers, trying to verify that certain commits are not leading to regressions in the code base, but there's still a lot of things to be done. The infrastructure has been amended by now. What still needs to be done now is actually to write tests for individual functions of individual drivers, and for maintainers to actually be aware that they can actually ask, in many cases, contributors to actually supply test cases along with both new devices or with fixes to existing devices if test cases are already present. Then, on the big Anthony topic, the QOM conversions, is still not quite complete. There's still a lot of things to be done, even if there has still been many areas already touched and made more accessible to management tools, such as LibVirt, and also for inspection for developers. And Paulo will be holding a talk later today, I believe, looking into what tomorrow, sorry, mea culpa. So, but yes, there will be a discussion of how this has actually worked out so far and how this is supposed to continue in the future. And well, I can only repeat some things that Anthony has been bringing up every year. We are always interested in finding and integrating new contributors into our processes. And in particular, there are some areas that we've been talking about lately where reviewers are still needed. So everyone, just as they can always send a patch to their mailing list, are free to actually reply to existing patches on the mailing list with review comments. That would be very much appreciated. And there are some areas where we are actively looking for new maintainers in case any one of you is interested in that. I've tried to hold it short, so this is it. Thank you very much for your attention. Enjoy day 2 of KVM Forum and make QEMU version 2.2 the best release ever. Thank you. So we have about 2 minutes left. Are there any questions that someone wants to bring up? Then I would pass on to Jeff. Thank you very much.